Like as engineer, I tend to engineer stuff out because many people, I think, like me, at some point they wanted to figure everything on their own. But you need to think about how much time you're gonna spend on this. That's A. B, like, can you afford being wrong? Because I was wrong at some point. I thought like go to gym, exercise, the core muscles gonna help. That doesn't work that way. So can you afford being wrong? Can you afford staying on bed for 2 weeks without going to work and totally abandoning your daily routine and feeling hopeless on the bed for 2 weeks or more? I don't think so, for me at least.
All right. How's it going, man?
Hey, Alvin, good to see you here.
Yeah. How's your body feeling?
Oh, it's much better since we last met.
Cool, cool, cool. So, again, thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for agreeing for this interview. So, why don't we get started by you tell us a little bit more about your background, like what do you do for work and how long you've been dealing with your chronic lower back problem?
Sure. So I'm a 30 years old engineer. I was engineer and now I'm at law school as a student. So I've developed the back pain since about 2 years ago because like my work involved like sitting and for extended time reading, writing, and working. So starting from 2 years ago, I started to feel the pain and it all aggravated to a level that I cannot barely stand. I mean, almost like about a couple about a year ago sometimes suddenly one day I just cannot stand from a meeting, and the result was devastating because I was on a bed for almost 2 weeks before I can barely stand again, and not to mention like move stuff, walk around, that's all impossible. So in a word, it was really bad before.
Yeah, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say you bet before? Like, what would you say your pain level before we worked together?
Oh, I would give it 11. It was really bad.
How about right now?
Oh, right now I can barely feel anything. That sounds like incredible, but last week I just moved to a new apartment. I carry like 50 pounds of mattress, furniture without a problem. But I think I actually can be more cautious when moving heavy stuff. That could also contribute into the feeling right now. But I think the main reason why I can feel much better is because of the program.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what would you say your biggest challenge before we work together? Your biggest challenge you faced on your journey?
So, like I mentioned, like my back pain started like 2 years ago, and I at that time I started to find kind of solution to the problem. And the internet is flooded with all the informations regarding back pain, all the like online tutorial videos, personal trainers mentioning stuff to people who don't know like what the back pain is gonna be look like. I spent a long time trying to find the right solution to my problem, and that was the biggest issue at that point because I kind of lost in all the myths, have no credible source to figure out what's the right way to actually deal with my problem.
I see. So what would you say the trigger that lets you to join this program? So what was your mindset before actually, joining this program?
Like as engineer, I tend to engineer stuff out on my own. But at some point, I found it's not worth the time to invest in such a complicated thing to cure my own problem because you need a years in kinesiology to have a degree and not to mention to pursue master on certain like back pain kind of like sector. So it was really hard for me to navigate this mess on my own. So I was trying to look out a credible personal trainer, and one day you pop out on my Instagram feed, and I sound like, why don't I give you a try? Because like you actually, unlike other PT, you mentioned the methodology and behind the back pain, and more importantly, I think you are teaching me a system instead of just like temporary relief, kind of like an exercise training. You are teaching me how to cope with my own schedule. Like you can integrate that kind of exercise into my own schedule and help me to regain my kind of like mobility, and that's important, I think.
Yeah, for sure, man. Now, since you mentioned the system, I would say Now, the way we're doing here is not only let you just to do the exercise for the sake of doing the exercise, but also tell you why you do this exercise and what kind of assessment you're going to do after the exercise as well. So you can do it on your own, and also you can see the progress along the way, right? So now, I guess my question is, what would you say the biggest difference between the exercise we do versus, maybe some exercise you tried before?
Yeah, I tried many actually. YouTube has had a bunch of different exercises online, and I don't think they mentioned the importance of the assessment that much, because I think instead of like remember those like complicated rules systems, you are giving me a principle to follow instead of like just like bunch of redundance. So the principle is easy, and I still remember today. Like it's like you need to do the X. You check the assessment before you do the exercise, and also check the result from the assessment after, and you adjust like the you do and you iterate with a kind of system and the principle, so you know you don't have to somebody else to tell you, okay, you are not doing very well. You can see everything from yourself because your assessment is not good. So you need to keep working on exercises. And that's easy. The simplicity is the key here.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What about the breathing aspect? Have you
Oh,
tried that before?
yeah, no, no, they didn't mention like so they didn't emphasize on the importance of breathing that much. Usually just like they taught you to be slow, but how slow they didn't mention yet. And you remember like when we first met and you always ask me to slow down even more. And I'm counting like 4 seconds, I think is slow enough. But you say like, okay, that's just 2 seconds. You need to slow more. At that point, I know that I realized something I haven't realized before is like importance of taking the breath really, really slow, as slower than you can ever imagine, I think.
So now I don't know if we mentioned this before, but I guess what was your mindset before joining program? I know you try a lot of things, but you also must be, I say, pretty skeptical as well, right? Because you've been dealing with this for so long now, and you try everything and nothing worked for you.
Right. Because like, as a law student, I kind of like skeptical at a lot of things. So at the very first beginning, I was skeptical at the program, of course. I didn't know because like the biggest fear was like I gonna waste the time and the money doing stuff and cannot see any prominent result after that. I just cannot afford being wrong one more time. But I think the things actually stand out to push me to make that decision. At first, like my back pain is really, really bad. And I saw all the testimonials from your like feed all the time, see like other people's doing stuff. I feel very much better. And those testimonial cannot lie. So that's the first thing that caught my attention and made me want to try this in the very first beginning. And also upon our communication, you didn't just like other PT say like join the program. You gave me a lot of like time to think about it. And also you taught me how to do this. Um, Even before you laid those like details to me, you taught me like how important is the exercises and that thing I've never saw that before. So it feels like I was at the wrong direction in the very first beginning. It's not about having those because a lot of PT mentioned like you need to exercise your core, have much stronger core muscle, and that doesn't simply work that way. You need to stress like the particular pattern of your own kind of like setup in order to have this to work. So I was wrong in the very beginning, and you fixed me that. So that's combined with the testimonial I saw online that made me actually want to jump onto the program and just stick to it until this moment, which I feel much better.
That's awesome, man. Now, I think since you mentioned that the core training, a lot of physical therapy told you before. Now, I think when we were together, I told you the importance of training your body as a kinetic chain. So not only we're going to train your upper body, your lower body, but also in your case, your foot as well.
Yeah, yeah. I never thought of before. It's another thing that's kind of like caught me off guard because I've not never thought of that kind of my high arc, the foot is the root to the problem. Like after all times, and never mentioned that. No one ever mentioned that to me. I've paid visit to hospitals, to PTs. Nobody ever saw. Okay, that's the root of problem to focus the footwork. They just like turn me over and do some massage and correct my kind of back pain, give me some medications to temporarily kind of give me some relief. But nobody ever mentioned this problem like you. So that's one more thing I feel much very appreciated about. And that's also another reason why I think um, your program actually works much better as compared to others.
Yeah, man, appreciate that. So what would you say the shoe I recommend you? How
Oh
did you?
wow, the sketches. Yeah. All right. Yeah, yeah. You mentioned like, oh, not the sketches, but the other ACS brand. Yes. That works fantastically. I love them. I even got two pairs of identical shoes. That's the first time I ever did that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, I think for somebody who's maybe listening or watching this video right now, so what would you want to say to them? Maybe they're on the fence of joining a program, but they're looking for a leg up.
So I think in the end of the day, it's all your decision. But not only you need to consider like financially how this program is gonna work out, but also you need to think about like how much time if you wanna figure this out, how much time you wanna spend on figuring this out if you wanna do this on your own. Because many people, I think like me, at some point they wanted to figure everything on their own to DIY stuff. I think it's totally fine, but you need to think about like ahead of time how much time you're gonna spend on this. That's A. B, like, can you afford being wrong? Because I was wrong at some point. I thought like go to gym, exercise, the core muscles gonna help. That doesn't work that way. So can you afford being wrong? Can you afford staying on bed for 2 weeks without going to work and totally abandon your daily routine and feeling hopeless on the bed for 2 weeks or more? I don't think so, for me at least. So that's what I'm saying to you guys, and think these problems before, and also I also like I think you will at some point appreciate Alvin's help.
Yeah, appreciate this, man. Now, I think a lot of people don't tend to understand, but time is I would say one of the most valuable assets we have, right? You can always pick up more money off the ground, but you can't get 5 minutes of your time back. So I don't think a lot of people really do appreciate it. And one thing I want to say too is like, what would you want to say to those people, maybe again, who are listening to this right now, but think, I don't think I can afford it, or I don't think I should put my house into my number one priority.
Money, um, money is a number, but for curing back pain, you need to do that as soon as possible. It's kind of like time science. It's very time sensitive, because the more you wait, it's not gonna make you better. And if you fall into those false patterns for too long, there is not an easy way back to the original point where you can easily kind of like use exercises or other methodology to fix your problem. So um, just be aware of that situation and be mindful to all those flooded information online and use your own judgment, I think.
Awesome, man. Is there anything else you want to add at the end?
Um, I just like want to also like add on a point, just don't overcomplicate stuff. So Alvin sometimes made me think that's easy, but it truly wasn't. So it's kind of like exercises, 5 or 10 exercises a day, but those exercises are very customized to my problem. So don't overcomplicate this stuff, but just don't also think about it as like easy peasy stuff. You can figure this thing always by yourself. Yeah, that's it.
All right, man. Appreciate this. I think
Yep.
that's it for the interview. Yeah.
All
Thank
right, sure. Thank you. Yeah. See you next time.